Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. Welcome to this video where basically I'm breaking down this beat. It's really dope. It has like some orchestral elements. It has a lot of energy. It's like Game of Thrones meets hip hop or something, if you will, but it has some cool vibes and it's intense. So if you like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at DJ Fanatic Beats. That's DJ PHANATIC Beats, or Sounds for Producers on IG as well. So let me get into it. I'm gonna start with the first element I started out with was actually a loop. Let me solo that and change my snap to grid to bar. That way we can navigate easily within the playlist window here. So I started out with a loop. Let me see if I did anything to it. I usually do for every loop. As you can see, I pitched it up, stretched it to match the tempo. It's a pretty standard tempo, 140. And I also did some chopping here to kind of make my own unique flow of the loop. So that's important too, because when you're working with loops, you want to do a bunch of different things and make it unique to your own taste. And I also added EQ. I did a very interesting EQ curve where I'm cutting some of the lows and some of the highs as well, but it's a slow curve, and also used halftime to give it like another melody underneath. So let's actually turn everything off, and this is what it sounds like without the let me start it here so you can hear what I did loop wise. Let's start it from the beginning. Here you go. Now it's the chop side. Here's the regular loop. So it already has a lot going on there. If you notice, I actually played a save as. Basically you can clone it. Just right click on it and you can clone it, and basically what you're doing is making a copy of that previous loop. And I had it reverse right here. I don't know if you caught that right here. So, and also if you notice, there's tons of different chops here. So I spent some time doing this to kind of create this rhythm of those bells. I'll play that again. Check it out. So I kind of created my own rhythm with that loop, and you can be very creative like that. Use that technique to make your own rhythm and make up your own type of vibe with whatever loops that you get. So let me turn on the effects, and it's just EQ and halftime. Halftime, did I do anything crazy? Brought the mix level down to 29%, and I messed around with the swells. It's like an effects parameter that you can mess with, and I have it set on 1 bar loop. So check it out. Pay attention to the underlining melody. Yeah, it's nice. So it already adds just that much more intensity to it. So it sounds pretty dope. Let me do that. So the next thing I added was some brass. With those type of bells and stabs and whatnot, I was feeling like, yo, let's add some brass, and it'll add some energy to it. So here it is. And notice that's a whole nother melody on its own. I did like these little triplets and held the note on some areas. So I kind of basically I programmed my own melody with the brass. And for brass, I used Expand 2. It had some cool brass in there. It's one of my favorites, orchestral brass. Thought I'd drop that gem on you if you want to use that as well. Of course, there's tons of different brass plugins. I just kind of like that one because it has a nice bite on it, like an edge, aggression. And I kind of wanted that energy because I love, like Gladiator, Alexander the Great, you know, all those warrior movies, you know, I'm a fan of them. And I think that's why I use that type of brass, because it reminds me of it. And that's why I said Game of Thrones too, because that's like a offspring of all those other classic movies. So let's the next element I had was like a vocal lead, so check it out. My bad, I decided to do more brass on top of it, where I have like a longer chords going on. So here it is. So as you can tell, I got a lot going on just with those three elements. It's just the first loop was like bells, and I added like an underlining melody to it using the plugins. And next is brass, like these short choppy notes. Then you have the long notes to contrast that. So you got a lot going on mix wise. I let the brass go straight up, so it's on the same channel. I did use Fruity Parametric EQ2. I cut the lows so that way they're not interfering with the low instruments I have coming, and cut some of the highs as well. But I left some highs going through. See this energy here? But I just did a soft curve to cut off some of the highs on the brass. The next, and also I added reverb to give it some space and just like some more presence. Next thing I added was the vocal lead, just to add that extra touch, man. It gives it that operatic feel, like that energy. Check it out. And that I found randomly in Contact, and I think that's, yep, Evolve. It has some cool stuff in Evolve by Heavio City, I believe. This was the Vocal Femme Operatic, and it has some cool stuff in here, and you can mess around with some parameters and come up with some cool stuff. And I thought it came out really dope with this type of beat. So next thing I added, I think I got into some percussion, so let's see what's going on here. I don't think I went straight for the kick, but we'll see. Maybe it is. Yep. So with the kick, let's see what I did with the kick. I used two different kicks and probably used some filtering. So what you can do in the what they call is the Fruity Wrapper in FL Studio, you can actually go to this tool here, the envelope tool, and you can mess with these mod X and mod Y to kind of filter out what you want for each kick and kind of create your own kicks. And it looks like I did do that. So I created a punchier kick and layered them, as well as use Fruity Soft Clipper technique, where basically I only used it on the second kick. Basically what it does, it gives it a lot more punch, and I wanted that to be punchier by using the actually I didn't even adjust the volume. So here's some cool stuff you can do with Fruity Soft Clipper when it comes to drums. You can get some insane results with that, so feel free to explore with that. So here's the pattern I chose. It's kind of like a marching pattern. And it almost sounds like it's off beat, right? Here's with the metronome on. I don't know where I come up with these ideas, because that type of kick pattern is very unique and very different. I don't think you'll hear another beat with that weird pattern, but it works, especially when I bring in the other elements. You'll see. So the next thing I added, I believe it was like a bounce snare almost, or like a marching snare. So I'm already in militant mode, so you know, sometimes I just vibe out. And here's what I came with next in regards to this type of snare pattern. Oh my god, let me zoom in on that. Notice it's a quick triplet, right? and I utilize velocity down here at the bottom. Yeah, velocity. So it's rolling into it. Like, it gives this dramatic effect where you're like, rah, you know what I'm saying? It's something very small, but something very powerful. And if you pay attention to little things like that in your beats, it definitely take your beats farther by doing small nuanced things like that. So check it out. So you get the idea. We got all these elements happening. I got like that marching snare I just played, and here in pattern 13, that's actually the regular snare that I use to accent every I think every fourth beat. So next I added some hi-hats. And I didn't even EQ the hi-hats. They were just a soft hi-hat to sit in the background to kind of give it some more stability, because I have a unique pattern going on with the kick and the snares. So I just had it straight going through. That way the listener can kind of, you know, connect more with the type with the beat. Man, I have a lot of patterns in this beat. So the next thing I added was a snare, like I mentioned before. And notice it has like some reverb to it, right? It has let me find which snare I use. And it's also pitched up, so it stands out. But it's in the background. So, and also notice that vocal operatic lead is panned to the right a little bit. Usually with main melodies like that, I take it off center, so it sounds like she's singing from the side or from the background from the side. It's very dynamic. The next thing I added, let's get back to this playlist window here. Next thing I added, I think, was a percussion element. So let's see here. It's like a chant. It's very subtle. Here, I'll play it by itself. See, it's classic, but I put that in the background to give it just a little more energy. And as you can hear, all the elements are sounding pretty good. There's a lot going on. And the next thing I did was like a nice chord jab or stab, if you will. And it's actually a chord stab with bells. Here, let's solo that. So I did that on every other fourth beat to kind of just give it this bam, you know what I mean, like beginning or ending. In this case, beginning, because it begins every 4 bars, just to give it even more energy. So as you can tell, just from the beginning, that one loop, me spending the time of doing all that chopping and processing and the reverse thing, it just gave more energy into each element. And you know, the foundation is like building, for instance, this beat, building a castle. You don't want to build a castle on bad foundation. So you want to focus, especially, you know, when you're just starting out. You don't want to build crap on crap, because, you know, eventually the beat will just not be that good, or require a lot of fixing, or just basically doing all over again. So the next thing I did was the 808, I believe. I think I used the 808 in this one. Yeah. Yep, I use an 808. So here you go. And the 808 was very low. I could have boosted it more. I took the master effects off because I'm shooting a video right now. So let's try it with it on and see if the 808 stands out more. If it totally shuts down, I'll just pause the video or whatever. Yeah, with the mastering, everything sounds just crazy, and I spent a lot of time in mixing and mastering. I did another video on what I do. I'm using Isotope products right now. They're definitely really user friendly. Neutron 2, Ozone 8, and tonal balance control on the master chain. Of course, you can use everything FL Studio has built into it, and there's tons of different ways to master a track. So you don't have to use these to get results like that. As far as parameters and stuff, I rarely use global presets. Maybe I'll try that eventually and try different things, but I build things usually from the track assistant, where it determines what you need to use or whatever, and then I go in and do my own tweaking. And I do the same with Ozone 8 as well, where I'm basically use the master assistant, and then I'll add in different things that it didn't use or I might think it needs. So over time you get better at it. It's all good. But definitely utilize what you have built into the program, so you don't have to buy other stuff. You can get the same results. So that's all the elements in this beat and how I pretty much did everything. The brass didn't get too many plugins, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, it was just Fruity Parametric EQ2 and Reverb, and that's pretty much the whole beat. So let me start it from the beginning and into the chorus, so you can kind of get a feel for what I did, and hopefully you learned something in this video, or you're inspired to make your own epic Game of Thrones hip-hop beat with the Alexander the Great feel. I don't know, Achilles, whatever. You get the feel. So here it is. Verse. Gotta break it down right here. Yo, this beat is crazy. As you can see, man, I didn't even have a genre in mind when I started making this. I just wanted to follow my creativity, and sometimes it's like that. You never know what you can discover. You should always feel free to just do what's in your mind or what's in your heart, regardless of what's popular, regardless of what sells. Sometimes you got to do things for you as a creative, and that's what I did with this beat. I didn't care if it sold or not, and actually a lot of people ended up liking it, so it's all good. Sometimes you can create your own lane just by following what's in your what's you're thinking about or what you feel. So yeah, I don't want to get too deep in the video, man, but definitely that's how I came about this, and people were feeling it. Hopefully you're feeling it, and hopefully you're inspired. And again, it's your boy DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. And if you like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at DJ Fanatic, PHANATIC Beats, or Sounds for Producers on Instagram as well. Don't be afraid to explore. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace and love.